Time now to take a look at the front pages of some select national dailies. It's time for us to review some of the big stories making the rounds across some select national dailies this morning on the program. First on our to-do list is the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper for today, Monday, February 12, 2024. Here it goes. Just ignore the pictures there if they offend you in any way, shape or form. High cost of living. Pray, repent, Sultan tells Nigerians. Listen, I understand where this is coming from, but I think more of this energy should be channeled towards, the people at the top who are making a hash of the entire situation, really, because for the most part, Nigerians are just at the receiving end of this whole economic mess that we're experiencing. Still talking about the economy, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, says Nigeria experiencing stalled per capita growth, poverty, and insecurity. Talk about an open secret. More on that story on page 23. On page 3, you'll find the story that goes, alleged killing of graduate sparks protest in Kaduna community. More on that on page 3. How about this one? Federal workers in 90 MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies of government, yet to get January salaries. We did break that story a little earlier somewhere, and it's quite telling. That,
indeed.
I mean, this is widespread, if you ask me. 90 MDAs. I know that there are a lot more that have probably paid, but this is unacceptable. More on this on page 6, where there are some rumored difficulties with the payment platforms at the AG's office and things like that. And wouldn't we love to forget this one? Why do we have these pictures on the front page? Seriously, just move on already. Yes, the Super Eagles missed out on bringing back the glory, but like we did say earlier, the best team won on the night, and it is the host nation, Cote d'Ivoire. I mean, listen, it's a story of, resilience for me. First of all, they almost got knocked out of the entire tournament at the group stage. If Morocco hadn't made it, they wouldn't even get to the finals. And then the person who scored the winning goals, Sebastian Haller, went through a very difficult moment of his life last year, surviving, I think,
cancer.
Was it leukemia or something like that? Yes. And yeah. So he survived it, and then, so you know what? You can fall 7 times, but you have to get back up 8 times. I think that's the... And, it doesn't really offend me, really, that much that Ivory Coast won, because they were a very good team at the end of the day. But sad that we couldn't bring home all of the glory. Below that story, Forex crisis, Hajj registration below 50% as payment closes today. This was despite the whole extension of that. These are some of the riders. High fare will prevent Nigerians from filling spots. Low number not peculiar to Nigeria, according to the Hajj Commission. But either way, I think spiritually we all know that you're not under any sort of compulsion to force yourself to go to Hajj. So if you can't make it happen, maybe try next year. Hopefully the situation will be better.
Indeed. At the end of the day, when God calls you, that's where you would go.
Exactly.
All right, away from the Daily Trust newspaper, The Guardian, the major story here says exiting oil firms pollute Niger Delta with 36.1 million liters of crude in 8 years. You find the major story on page 6, and there's a spill in barrel. The WHO predicts global shortage of 10 million health workers. Bit of statistics there. You can get that on the Guardian newspaper. Beside that, we have Elephants shock Super Eagles to win 2023 AFCON. I mean, it's a shocker because Nigerians were already, waiting for the cup to get home. We have Anglican Church.
I think we really were too overconfident at some point. I met this guy and he was almost arguing with me that, I was saying we're going to win 2-1. He was going 3-0. I said, that's a little overambitious.
Exactly.
They are the host nation. How can you beat them 3-0 in the finals?
Oh, my God. All right. So beside that, we have Anglican Church. Affair Babalola attacks tinubu on fiscal policies. The U.S. begins investigation into crash as Access Holdings scouts for the Wigwe's replacement. Sarab sues Akpabio and Abbas over 344.85 billion naira National Assembly budget. I mean, someone is taking a look. Hardship states in Nigeria risks total collapse amid rising hunger, unemployment, JAPA says report. Tinubu berates the ASU others for criticizing students' loan scheme and says no going back. Okay, that's something that we definitely need to talk about later. APC aspirant suspends participation in Edo Guber primary. Now, these are some of the stories that you would find on the Guardian newspaper today.
All right, let's turn our attention now to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune for today and give you a sense of what stories are being reported on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune for today. These are some of the stories. U.S. still lift ban on Nigerian vessel, gives 3 years plan. More on that on page 6. Federal government should not push ASU to go on strike again. Committee of Vice Chancellors. So a lot more is brewing behind the scenes because, yeah, you get a sense that all of these, this lack of implementation of some of these agreed upon memorandum of understanding is surely going to trigger the union to squeeze the government to force its hand to do what it's supposed to do or what it has even committed itself to do. More on that on page 11. I know a lot of students are not going to like this, but this is what is looming, and it is coming from the Committee of Vice Chancellors, and they should know what they're saying because they are pretty much the ones running the universities. Price of cement soars by 60%. Experts raise alarm. Amid escalating cost of drugs, diabetic, hypertensive patients turn to God for healing. Listen, God was always in the equation, but the reality is medications are not affordable. I mean, even before now, most of them are not affordable, but now they're definitely not affordable for the most part, and that should definitely force the hand of the government to do what it's supposed to address this, because we're on the precipice right now. More on that on page 2 and page 11. NDLEA arrests insurgents, drug supplier, 23 others. Kano Anti-Graft Agency seals of 10 warehouses hoarding foodstuff. We saw some of the images over the past 24 hours, and Nigerians are quite divided about all of that. How Wigwe's chopper crashed, according to the U.S. authorities. Access Bank's management to announce acting CEO tinubu governors, others mourn. That's one sad truth about life. I mean, you die and the world just keeps on moving, as always. Quite a very big tragedy there. National Assembly molds fresh legal framework for state police and local intelligence gathering. Of course, there's a picture of the president there attending an event recently. So you can pick up the pages and the Nigerian Tribune today to find out more about some of these stories.
All right, the front page of the Vanguard, top of the page that says reform. Edo will save Nigeria $40 billion spent on medical tourism. That's according to Obaseki. AFCON final elephants are champions of Africa, beat Super Eagles 2-1. No, I think Nigeria is still the giant. Let's start there. Rain, wintry weather caused the crash, according to
I
US.
like how Vanguard just put it in one, squeeze the whole story in one small box.
Yeah.
That's what all of them should have done it. Not flash it in our faces like.
I mean, so you want them to be as petty as you
Yes,
are.
of course. I would even put it at the back page. Yeah.
All right, rain or wintry. As Tinubu Obi Otedola, the NGX, Access Bank, others mourn Wigwe and Ogunbanjo. The major story says higher prices loom as businesses rely more on loans to survive. Borrowing from banks rises 52%, 1.83 trillion naira. Interest payment raises about 332.3% to 589.62 billion naira. There's the African Creators Summit, a pictorial of that happening. So below the pictorial, we have Edo Guba, Benin Chief, Ikime Senators, NLC Chairman, Emerge PDP delegates, LP aspirants form alliance to secure ticket. Nigeria needs spiritual help to solve challenges. That's according to Adeboye. And harsh economy pushing Nigerians to crime. That's according to Afe Babalola. Now, these are some of the stories on the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
Right.
And then, right now we just head on to the review with our guest, Suleiman Obagaya, former deputy editor, Nigeria Guild of Editors, joining us to review the papers today. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. It's good to see you again, as always.
Indeed.
Are you as sad as Sumaya this morning with regards to the loss? I said she almost didn't do the program today because she's sad.
Okay, it's not that deep.
You were so badly affected.
It's not that deep.
I was saying either way, if we win, we're still going to have a long night because we probably will be celebrating throughout the night.
Yeah.
If we lose, we're not going to sleep as as we would like to. Exactly.
Well, really, it was a very sad day for 200 million plus Nigerians yesterday when the elephants
also have international support also.
Yeah, exactly.
In Europe, for instance, in Africa, they weren't supporting us much because we were busy making mouth.
Exactly.
But,
and yes, Nigeria has actually impacted a lot. Like we have made a presence, we have made our presence known in the international world. So there was a lot of support.
Indeed there was. But unfortunately, yesterday the Super Eagles were rather lethargic.
Yeah.
They approached the game not as ambitiously as the home team, exactly. And of course, one pays the price when your approach is rather negative. And that was unfortunately what happened to Nigeria. We were only heavily disappointed. This was a team we've beaten in the group stages, 1-0. And probably overconfidence or
the game plan.
Or maybe some mishaps in the game plan contributed to what really happened. It's so unfortunate that it happened that way.
Let's talk about more depressing things now. Obviously on the front pages this morning. Not funny. Federal workers in 90 MDAs, ministries, departments and agencies of government, are yet to get their January salaries. And we're talking about today being the 12th day of February 2024.
So half the second month is gone already.
So, any surprises there?
Well, I'm not too surprised because in Nigeria, like I had cause to say on a few occasions here, the simplest of things is turned to rocket science. But that is insensitivity taken too far. I do not see how and why government, for any reason, will even think of delaying workers' salary up to this moment, 12th of February, as you rightly pointed out. Usually, January is the longest month because of the festivity, Christmas and the New Year festivities. Salaries are mostly paid between the second and third week. So what that means is that these people have been out of salary for getting to 2 months, for 50-something days now. And to think that, and January is also the month you will have to pay school fees, do a lot of other things. So the expectation is at least, government should have made proper moves to ensure the
same thing happened with the December salaries. There was a delay. They said the IPPS platform had some glitches. Now they're talking about a different platform at the Accountant General's office that is leading to this. But you did talk about the insensitivity of the whole situation, knowing fully well that this is what most Nigerians are going through because of the economic climate. I mean, do you think things like this have been normalized to a point where nobody has been sacked, nobody has been put on the chopping block to say this is unacceptable, and that is why things like this persist, because it happened just 2 months ago in December.
Exactly. Nigeria, like we've been saying repeatedly, the problem with Nigeria, especially at the governmental level, is that things happen without consequences, as you rightly pointed out. If we have had a case where those that are, causing this kind of problem are punished, I'm telling you, others will learn from that and avoid this kind of tendencies. Unfortunately, there are no consequences. People do what they want. And sadly, even though the rest of the world is moving on with technology, if technology is going to be a problem for us, why don't we go the normal way? I mean, the way we are doing it manually. If the manual way is the best approach to get us resolve our key problems. With insecurity getting upscaled almost on daily basis, Nigeria needs to be very careful with this kind of tendencies where salary, which is a legitimate entitlement of every worker, will be delayed. Getting into about half of another month, because today is 12th, and we are not sure it will even be paid this week. We hope they get paid, but there is no guarantee that the payment will even come this week. So what do they expect the workers to do? This is their legitimate entitlement, and it is with salary that they are going to buy food stuff, buy fuel for their vehicles, or pay for their transport fare. When it doesn't get paid, so how do they cope? Do you expect them to take loans where loans don't even exist, or take the crimes? So these are the kind of things we really need to avoid.
Even the people giving loans at this point need loans themselves. It's becoming more tedious.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really sad situation. But at what point do you think the president needs to, interfere with this situation, considering a lot of people have so much expectation on his administration and he's still holding up to that renewed hope agenda? But then this, just like Abdullah mentioned, is the second month this kind of thing is happening, and it's happening in those most tedious months where people are definitely expecting their money to hit the bank.
Yeah, the president needs to be more responsible for his government. He needs to be firmly in control by ensuring that the right thing is done, by ensuring that those sabotaging his government, because I will look at this in a way as a kind of sabotage. Yeah, it's a form of sabotage, whether it was done deliberately or not, but it's certainly a form of sabotage. The president needs to do something by way of punishing those responsible for this kind of tendencies, like I said earlier.
Okay. Staying with the front page of the Daily Trust, the Sultan is asking Nigerians to pray and repent. I mean, at any point in time, this message would resonate. Prayer is always something that we do on a daily basis, and we're always called upon to change our ways. But in relation to this, I think on the Vanguard, the Sumaya, read, also, Pastor Enoch Adeboye also reiterated the same thing, saying that, part of the challenge that we're faced with right now is a spiritual one. What do you make of the spiritualization of the conversation? We all know that prayer is good, but it is not an economic policy that can be implemented.
You see, I think it's an escapist kind of thing. Even though nobody can dispute the indispensability of spirituality in the affairs of humanity, but other countries are not resorting to prayers to resolve the simplest of issues. Even if it is complex, you resort to practicality. And practicality will entail that a major issue like cost of governance be paced squarely and reduced squarely. For example, with all due respect to the Sultan, he is someone I hold in a very high esteem. Why wouldn't he, for example, do something to reduce the rate of poverty in Sokoto, where his palace is located? For example, by reducing the cost of administering the palace, is very, very heavy. I am not too sure how much it is, but I'm sure the cost will run into billions of naira per month, per year. So why won't the Sultan, for example, do something by way of reducing the cost of running his own palace? So also governors, the president, our legislators. The other day we discussed, several months ago here in this studio, we discussed about legislators spending billions of naira to buy SUVs for themselves, So cost of governance keeps ballooning in Nigeria, and yet we keep complaining about the smallest of things and asking Nigerians to resort to prayers. Of course, Nigeria is the most religious country in the world. They say we have the highest number of mosques, the highest number of churches in the whole world. So it's a prayer nation, and we do pray, like you pointed out, every day. So they don't even need to, with all due respect to them, they don't even need to tell us to pray. But let them also do what is right. There are countries that don't even care about religion at all. I'm sorry, I have to put it that way. But they keep achieving great things. So, of course, we can resort to spirituality and also achieve. Saudi Arabia, for example, is a country at the headquarters of Islam. Yes, look at the way they are resorting, they are relying on technology to achieve to record unprecedented achievements. You know, why don't we look that way?
Right.
So it's not just religion that is the issue. It's practicality. You have to be real and practical about solving the everyday problems.
I mean, typical example, we see on social media how, you know, the southern Nigerians would tell the northern Nigerians, you people don't talk. I mean, anything that happened, you people just say, it was destined to happen. God has already ordained it to happen and all that. So it could be our leaders know our soft spots, that we are spiritually inclined, and so they'll just throw that.
And there's some problems that you can't pray away.
You can't,
because God has given you the faculty, the agency to think about the solutions and to, you know, use your hands to fix it, especially.
And that even issue you raise is about the misapplication of destiny. You know, that is, of course, a very deeply religious issue. It's misapplication of destiny. You don't just, for example, see a trailer coming at high speed and cross the road and say that is your destiny.
Yeah,
you know? So like you said, he pointed out, you know, God has given us all the faculties to do what is right, to distinguish the left from the right from the left. So why are we relying on, I mean, blaming God? Because that is a kind of blaming God in for our problems.
Yeah, it's saying that we need to repent also, so we are the cause of our own problems. All right, let's still stick to the hardship of the economy. The front page of the Nigerian Tribune major story is saying price of cement soars to about 60%, and experts are raising alarm on that one. Also, amid the escalating cost of drugs, let's not forget, there's been a bit of, I don't know if the federal government has implemented it, making mention of subsidy when it comes to drugs because of how expensive it was at some point. So what is your take on all this, where the rises of things, the prices of things keep increasing at every level? We saw a situation whereby today someone went to buy sugar and it was about 72, and the next day it's almost 80,000.
You see, it all boils down to the very issue we've been talking about. That is the lack of consequences for negative actions.
Yeah, traders have been pushing for price control. Do you think that would work? I mean,
price control is the way to go. You know, there is a limit to allowing market forces to determine everything. You know, it has
I think
tendency.
Market forces at this point, or evil forces, because
honestly,
you know,
that's the best way to put it.
We talk about, you know, how the prices were, and I think we have some of the footage to show what the anti-corruption commission in Kano is trying to do with regards to hoarding and things like that. Staying in Kano, for instance, just a little over 6 months ago, a bag of maize is around 8,000 plus. Now it's shot over 50,000.
Imagine.
I mean, it's unimaginable to explain, you know, the metrics of how you get from 8,000 to 50-something thousand. Price of bag now ballooning to about 77,000 or so, depending on the markets that you're going to. I mean, what about checking the excesses of the middlemen, of the players within the market who are simply just creating this artificial scarcity so that they can exploit Nigerians?
I think there are two issues if we look at cement, the example you pointed out, to look at this whole issue. I remember we once had this talk in this very studio about Bua cement, reducing the price of its cement, ex-factory to 3,500 or thereabouts, ex-factory. You know, that is, in the market it will sell at less than 4,000 naira. But the very issue you raise about middlemen, you know, and has been making that practically impossible. Then there is also the issue of competitors. I understand that when Bua Cement made that announcement, some of the competitors, is no proper to mention names here, went to report to the regulatory agencies that Bua Cement was trying to put them out of business. So the regulatory agencies, obviously, because they are not there to serve the people, insisted that, okay, Bua Cement should not or cannot implement that very human policy that it wanted to implement. You know, so these are some of the things. Then there is also the issue of Consumer Protection Council that we talked about last week, if you remember, on Monday last week. Consumer Protection Council is meant to protect the interests of consumers. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, it doesn't play that way. I don't know whether it is the law establishing the agency that is weak. If it is a law that is weak, then what are the legislators doing about it? they should be able to do something to ensure that the agency really protect the interests of Nigerians, so that the kind of tendency we talk about of maize, that you cited an example with selling at 8,000 at a point last year, and now selling at over 50,000 naira.
Even after the harvest.
Exactly, after the harvest, that is an inflationary rate
500%.
of exactly 500% or thereabouts.
And it's quite unacceptable. If we can wrap things up with a look at the forex crisis and Hajj registration. Ramadan is just around the corner, and we know Nigerians are one of those countries that usually have some of the biggest slots, and we're quite religious in our pilgrimage year after year. But things are not looking good this time, because Hajj registration is below 50% as far as payment is concerned, and the deadline is closing today. What are your thoughts about that, especially how this particular trend is mirroring something that we have been talking about all morning?
Unfortunately, there is no way we can meet up with the target of 95,000 that the authorities of Saudi Arabia has given Nigeria. There is simply no way we can meet up with that target. For example, Kano. Kano's slot is 6,100 or thereabouts. Unfortunately, the people who have fully paid as of today, or rather as of yesterday, are just 2,700, less than 50%, as this newspaper, the Daily Trust, correctly put it. And it's the same story everywhere in Nigeria. All the states, no state has been able to come up with even 50% of the allocation of the slot given to it. So definitely there will be a crisis. And look at it this way. Who has almost 5 million to pay for Hajj?
Indeed.
Of course, Hajj is obligatory, but then for Muslims, it is said that it's only obligatory for those who can afford. If you have the money, then it is obligatory. If you don't have the money, it is not obligatory. And with 5 million naira, because 4.9 million is barely 5 million, right. With 5 million naira can change the lives of a lot of people.
Of course it will.
I know of someone who wanted to pay for his brother, and the brother said, 5 million naira.
Just give it.
Give me the money; it will change my life.
Right, exactly.
So
that's a very practical way of looking at it.
Exactly. And also, if you have the money, also, if you are looking for reward, I'm telling you, there are bigger rewards impeding people now.
Right.
You don't necessarily. I'm not discouraging people to go on Hajj. It is an obligatory.
I mean, at this point, you don't need to discourage. People don't have the money to go. Thank you so much. Due to time constraint, of course, we have to wrap up the show. Thank you so much, Suleiman Obagaya, former Deputy Editor, Nigerian Guild of Editors. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
All right, and with that, of course, we have come to the end of Daybreak show on Trust Television. Thank you so much for staying with us. Stay with us at the top of the hour. 360 Sport would be here for you. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Do have a lovely day.